She thought her marriage was perfect until her husband got her sister pregnant. Let me tell you a story. A story buried in the quiet corners of a beautiful home in Lekki, Lagos. A story about a man who had it all and nearly lost everything. His name was Akeem. To the world, he was perfect. A handsome architect. A loving husband. A proud father of 2. People looked at him and saw a man blessed. He was married to Bisi, a brilliant lawyer. Strong, graceful, and sharp. Bisi was the kind of woman who walked into a room and silence followed. Not because she demanded it, but because respect bowed before her. Together, they were the couple everyone admired. Big house. 2 cars. 2 beautiful children. Smiles in church. Laughter at family gatherings. But behind closed doors, something was broken. Something hidden. A secret that had grown close. For 10 years, yes, 10 long years, Akeem had been sleeping with another woman. Not just any woman. Bisi's younger sister. Temi. Now listen carefully. Temi was everything Bisi was not. She was wild. Free. The kind of woman who wore paint on her hands and danced barefoot in her studio. An artist, full of fire. It started with one mistake. A night of weakness. A moment of temptation at a family event. But it didn't end there. They kept going. One lie turned into 2, then 10, then 100. Secret hotel rooms. Late night calls. Laughter that belonged to stolen hours. And the worst part. Temi didn't want to be a secret anymore. One night, rain pouring down, the whole of Lagos soaked in thunder, Temi looked Akeem in the eyes and said, "Leave her. Leave Bisi. Marry me, or I tell her everything." Akeem's heart dropped. He thought he had time. He thought he had control. But that night, the walls of his perfect world began to shake. He begged her, "Please, give me time." But Temi wasn't playing games anymore. She had waited 10 years. She was done waiting. What Akeem didn't know was that Bisi had already started seeing the signs. She wasn't a fool. The late nights. The strange perfumes. The look in his eyes when her sister walked into the room. So what did she do? She hired a man. A private investigator. His name was Chidi. Rough face, deep voice, eyes that had seen too much. Within days, Chidi brought back the truth. Photos. Hotel receipts. Voice recordings of Akeem whispering Temi's name. Bisi didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat there, quiet, staring at the proof. But behind that silence, she was planning. She wouldn't confront him yet. No. She would wait. Because Bisi wasn't just a woman scorned. She was a woman with a strategy. Before we proceed, please subscribe and hit the notification button for more interesting stories like this. Temi was growing restless. She'd given Akeem her ultimatum, and days were passing fast. No answers. No decisions. Just silence. She wasn't built for waiting. So she started pushing. First, it was a perfume-scented scarf accidentally left in his car. Then a pair of earrings placed where Bisi could find them. Small things. But enough to leave cracks in a careful lie. She wanted to force his hand. She didn't care who got hurt. Not anymore. But Bisi wasn't blind. She saw the signs. She just didn't say anything yet. And then, everything shifted. One Friday evening, Akeem told Bisi he had a late meeting on the island. As usual. She nodded, kissed his cheek, watched him drive away. But this time, she wasn't alone. Her best friend, Ngozi, had followed quietly behind. An hour later, Ngozi called her. Her voice low. Serious. Bisi, he's not at a meeting. He's here at a bar in Victoria Island with Temi. Bisi didn't scream. She got in her car. And she drove. When she walked into that bar, head stunned. Not because she was loud. Not because she was angry. But because of the way she looked at them. Temi's smile dropped. Akeem nearly dropped his glass. Bisi walked straight to their table. Her voice was calm, too calm. Oh, what a surprise. What are the odds? Temi tried to speak. Stammered. Fumbled. Akeem sat frozen, mouth open. Bisi smiled politely. We'll talk at home. Then she turned around. And walked out. Not a word more. That silence carried more weight than any scream ever could. Back at home, she didn't wait long. She laid everything out. The photos. The receipts. The voice recordings. Proof. Cold and clear. Akeem sat there, broken. Mouth open. Eyes wide. Heart pounding. He begged. He cried. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. She didn't ask why. She already knew. But instead of saying she wanted a divorce, she gave him something else. Something colder. A deal. You want to save this family? Fine. Then here's what you do. You will never see Temi again. You will cut her off completely. And she must leave Lagos. For good. Akeem couldn't breathe. It felt like punishment. But it was still a lifeline. He nodded. What choice did he have? He agreed. But his heart was still somewhere else. Temi didn't take it well. When she found out about the deal, she didn't cry. She disappeared. Left her studio empty. Her phone off. Only one note behind. This isn't over. A few days passed. Then Akeem's phone rang. Unknown number. He picked up. Temi's voice came through. But it wasn't soft. It was cold. Flat. I'm pregnant, Akeem. That was the moment everything fell apart again. Temi's voice on the phone was steady. Almost too steady. I'm pregnant, Akeem. Silence. Akeem sat in his car, frozen. The world around him kept moving, horns blaring, people crossing, but inside him, everything stopped. He didn't ask, are you sure? He knew her too well. She didn't lie about things like this. Not anymore. His mind raced. A baby. Now. This wasn't part of the plan. There wasn't even a plan anymore. He asked where she was. She didn't say. Don't worry. I'm safe. I just thought you should know. Then she hung up. That night, Akeem didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling beside Bisi, her back turned to him in bed. She hadn't touched him since the confrontation. And he hadn't dared to try. Now, this baby, this secret child, would destroy everything again. But Temi Temi wasn't done. She wanted more than his guilt. She wanted revenge. And she wanted to make Bisi feel it. So, she went back to the same man Bisi had hired, the private investigator. Chidi. She paid him double. And this time, she wasn't asking him to follow Akeem. She wanted him to dig into Bisi's past. Find me something she doesn't want the world to know. Chidi didn't disappoint. A week later, he called Temi. And what he told her changed everything. Bisi had a secret, too. A big one. Years ago, before the degrees, before the fancy house, before Akeem, Bisi had a child. A boy. Born when she was just 17. Raised in secret. Given up for adoption. No one knew. Not Akeem. Not even Temi. Temi smiled bitterly. Now she had power. She waited 2 days. Then she showed up. Uninvited. To Bisi's office. She didn't sit. She didn't greet. She just placed a brown envelope on the table. Bisi opened it. Inside, photos. Paperwork. Proof. Her hands trembled. Temi's voice was calm. You want me to leave Lagos? Fine. I'll go. But if you ever come between me and Akeem again, I swear I will tell the entire family about your son. Every last detail. Bisi looked up, eyes burning. But she said nothing. She just sat there. Defeated for the first time. Shaken. Because this wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was war. And the walls were closing in fast. The family was cracking. And Mama Eo felt it. She may have been old, but her instincts were sharp. A mother knows when something is wrong with her child. She called Akeem one morning. You will bring your wife and your sister-in-law to Ibadan. This weekend. No questions. No arguments. Her voice was final. Akeem knew better than to resist. He called Bisi. Told her Mama wanted to pray over the family. Bisi rolled her eyes. What your mother wants is control, not prayers. Still, she agreed to go. Temi, surprisingly, also agreed. When Akeem asked her why, she just said, because I'm tired of hiding. Let her see me. Let them all see me. That weekend, they traveled to Ibadan. Together. In the same car. The silence in that car could have cut through still. Bisi stared out the window. Temi hummed quietly. Akeem just drove, sweating. When they arrived at the old family house, Mama Eo was waiting in her wrapper and beads. Eyes sharp. Mouth set. She hugged no one. Only nodded. Inside, the compound was filled with relatives. Uncles. Aunties. Cousins. They had no idea what was coming. Mama Eo announced that a cleansing ritual would take place at sunset. She said the family was under spiritual attack. She said there was a curse, born from betrayal, that had to be broken. Bisi looked at Akeem sharply. Did you tell her? He shook his head. No. I swear. I didn't. But Mama Eo knew. She'd gone to her Babalawo. She'd seen things in her dreams. At sunset, they gathered in the courtyard. Drums beat slowly. The air was thick with smoke and tension. Mama Eo stood in the center. Then, she spoke. A seed of shame has grown in this family. A man has betrayed his wife, with her own blood. And now, we must rip this evil out. Gasps. All eyes turned. Whispers started. Faces twisted in confusion and shock. Akeem froze. Temi stood still. Bisi breathed in deeply. Then Temi stepped forward. Her voice didn't shake. Yes. It's true. Akeem and I have been together. And I'm pregnant with his child. Chaos erupted. Aunties screamed. Uncles stood up in anger. Some spat on the ground. Others walked away in shame. But Temi wasn't done. She turned to Bisi. And since we're speaking the truth, tell them about your son. Bisi's face went white. Tell them, Temi said again. Tell Mama. Tell everyone. Bisi's lips trembled. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then, she broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She nodded slowly. Yes. I had a son. I gave him up when I was 17. I didn't know what else to do. I was alone. The crowd grew silent. For the first time, there was no judgment, only shock. Only silence. Then Akeem fell to his knees. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to both of you. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to choose. Mama Ao raised her hands. You will not break this family anymore. She turned to Temi. You are no longer welcome in this house. Then to Akeem. You will beg your wife. Or you will leave with nothing. Then she walked away. Leaving them all in the middle of the courtyard, broken, exposed, and burning in shame. But the worst hadn't happened yet. Not until the next day. Not until the child, Akeem's teenage daughter, Simi, ran away. They woke up to an empty bed. Simi was gone. Her phone, off. Her school bag, missing. A note, nowhere. Bisi searched the rooms like a madwoman. She pulled open drawers, checked the closets, screamed her name into the hallway. Nothing. Akeem's hands shook as he dialed her number again. And again. Switched off. He turned to Bisi, eyes wild. Did she hear everything last night? Bisi didn't answer. She didn't need to. Simi had been in the hallway, watching. Hearing. Everything. Her father, a liar. Her aunt, pregnant with his child. Her mother, carrying a secret past. It was too much for a 15-year-old. The family panicked. Mama Ao called everyone she knew. Neighbors. Classmates. Friends. Temi stood in the corner of the compound, arms wrapped around her stomach. Tears streaming. She whispered, this wasn't supposed to happen. But it had. And now they all carried the blame. Hours passed. No sign of Simi. Bisi sat on the kitchen floor, knees to her chest. Her strong, proud shell had cracked. She looked like a mother, lost and afraid. Akeem knelt beside her. We'll find her. I promise you. Bisi didn't look at him. You promised me many things. By evening, the sky turned gray. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Then, finally, a call. It was Ngozi. Bisi's best friend. She's here, she said. Simi came to my house. She's safe. But she doesn't want to come home. Bisi burst into tears. Tears of relief. And pain. She begged. Please, Ngozi. Let me speak to her. But Simi refused. I don't want to talk to them. I just want to breathe. And so they waited. Outside Ngozi's gate. Under the rain. Akeem soaked through. Temi stayed in the car, hand on her belly. Bisi stood like stone, watching the window. Eventually, Simi came out. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She just walked toward them. Quietly. She looked at her mother. Then her father. Then her aunt. Her voice was small. You all broke me. No one replied. What could they say? She got into the car. And that silence said everything. That week changed them. Akeem moved to Abuja days later. No goodbye. Just a message. Temi disappeared. She crossed the border to Ghana. Alone. With her child growing inside her. Bisi stayed. She searched for the son she once gave up. Not to fix the past. But to finally stop hiding from it. Simi started therapy. Slowly. Quietly. She began healing. But she would never see her parents the same again. The family didn't break in one day. It cracked, little by little. Through lies. Secrets. Choices. And in the end, Lagos swallowed it all. Its traffic still moved. Its people still laughed. But in one house in Lekki, a woman sat alone, holding her truth, and learning to breathe again. 3 years later, Lagos had moved on. As it always does. But for those who lived through the unraveling of that family, the scar stayed, softened by time, but never erased. Bisi sat in her office one quiet afternoon, watching the rain paint slow lines across the glass. She was still a lawyer. Still sharp. Still composed. But different. There was a softness in her now. A vulnerability she no longer tried to hide. Because she'd done the hardest thing, she forgave herself. She found her son. His name was Toby. He was 20 now. Studying engineering in Enugu. Their first meeting was quiet. Awkward. But when she hugged him, she wept. Not because of guilt anymore. But because it was over. The hiding. The shame. She told Simi everything. And instead of anger, Simi held her hand and said, "You're not perfect. But you're still my mom." That was the day Bisi truly breathed. Temi lived in Accra now. She opened a small art gallery by the beach. Her baby, a boy named Ao, was almost 3. Bright-eyed. Beautiful. She raised him alone. She never spoke to Akeem again. But she told her some stories, once filled with color and truth. And when he asked why he didn't have a daddy, she smiled sadly and said, "Because some people love wrongly, but I still got you from it." That was enough. Her art changed. It became bolder, softer, more honest. Pain had sharpened her. Motherhood had saved her. Akeem stayed in Abuja. He lived quietly. No scandal. No woman. He designed buildings, poured himself into work, and tried to disappear from the whispers of his past. But guilt is a loud roommate. He wrote letters to Simi every birthday. Most went unanswered. Some came back unread. But he kept writing. Because in the silence, that was the only thing he knew how to do. Simi was in her final year of secondary school. She was brighter. Stronger. She didn't hate her father anymore. But she didn't trust easily. And she spoke in therapy like someone older than her years. Because children who watch their family fall apart learn how to carry pain with quiet grace. She visited her half-brother Toby often. She babysat little Ao when Temi was in Lagos. And sometimes, when the sun hit just right, she smiled, really smiled. Because broken things can still grow. And secrets, no matter how heavy, can lose their power. In the end, the story wasn't about the betrayal. It was about what came after. The silence. The healing. The choice to live again. Because some shadows stretch long. But the sun always rises. Eventually. Tell us what you think about this story in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories like this.